I want to help you with the right way to give feedback. As leaders, we have to be able to give and receive feedback. Giving feedback is difficult. It's never easy. And as humans and leaders, we're incredibly bad at it. Only just a little bit over 25% of the feedback that's given, people really think help them. The remainder, it's either hurting them or confusing them. And this isn't good. It's not driving the results as leaders that we're looking for. People who are giving feedback tend to fall into two categories. One is they're too indirect or soft. The people that they're giving the feedback to don't realize that they're even getting feedback. Perhaps the leader is a little sensitive and doesn't want to offend the person they're giving the feedback to. The other type of person is giving feedback that's too direct. They're kind of on the other scale. They're putting the person they're giving the feedback into a defensive position. And that's flipping the fight or flight switch. And the person's either going to dig in and fight you on the issues, or they're going to shut down and they're not going to listen to you. Either way, you're not going to get the result that you're looking for. I think we've all heard about the feedback sandwich, where you give the person some feedback, then you give them that constructive feedback, which is really what you want to give them. And then you end it with positive feedback again to make them feel good. I think we've all heard this. And when I was a new manager starting out, I used this a few times. And I got to tell you, do not use this. Number one, everybody knows about this and they know what it is. It's the leader is trying to let themselves off the hook so they don't feel like the bad guy. And the person receiving the feedback feels played. And nobody wants to feel that way. Every single time I've used this, the person felt angry. And that's a big step backwards. So don't do it. There is a good way to give feedback, and it's effective, it's positive for everyone, and it helps you move forward. And there's 4 parts to it. I'm going to walk you through it. The first is ask you a question. It's always good to start with a question. Have a short but relevant question. It's going to give them a heads up that feedback is coming. And really the goal here is you're going to ask them a question, you're going to get an answer. In doing so, you're going to get buy-in from them. So they're going to be bought into the feedback process, which is how you want to start. So ask them things like, how do you think it went? If you use an example of maybe there's a presentation that didn't go well, ask them how it went. And do you think we can improve on that? And you're going to start to get a response from them. You'll probably start to get some ideas right off the bat, which will lead you to the second part. When you're giving the feedback to someone, you need to be specific. So be specific with time, dates, deadlines, events, what the commitment was, what they were supposed to deliver. You can't be ambiguous. You can't say something like you don't do a great job managing your team, or you're too defensive, or you need to be more proactive. People don't know what to do with that. And candidly, that's not great communication on your part. So an example of what you might want to do is, let's say somebody was supposed to do something to hit a contract term. You want to say, it was delivered late. It should have been delivered on Tuesday. That way, they know what it was. What you're talking about, that, let's say, report was delivered late. And it was supposed to be delivered on Tuesday, so they knew they missed the deadline. This works well for positive feedback as well as corrective feedback. So if somebody did something good, and it's a behavior you want to reinforce, you want to tell them what it was, and you want to be specific. So the next thing is you want to describe the impact of the behavior. So what happened because of that behavior? With the missed deadline, we had to pay additional fees. So if they didn't deliver that report that was to the contract, you had to pay additional fees. Or if they hit the deadline or they beat the deadline, they save fees. You want to tell them it either way, and you're being specific on the cause and impact. That why is incredibly important. It's not only the behavior, and they need to be specific so they understand exactly what behavior needs to be changed or needs to be reinforced, they need to understand why, what's going to happen, what's the impact either way. Then they'll be able to absorb it and work on it. So the last part is end with a question. So if there is a sandwich involved here, and I like sandwiches, if there is a sandwich, it's a question sandwich. And questions are always good because they elicit a conversation and discussion. So you end with a question. After the feedback, ask for their thoughts, ask for how they feel about it. In doing that, you're going to start to get their commitment. They're going to tell you what their feelings are. And that dialogue is going to make it so that it's not just an order. You're not just barking out a directive to them, that they're committing to it. It makes them part of that solution. And the other thing is you need to hear them. You need to understand why whatever happened, because that may be information you need. You may need to change your plans, or you may need to coach them to handle that kind of situation better. So these are the 4 parts for giving good, effective feedback. I'm also going to post a video on how you should be receiving feedback, which is equally as important, if not more important for you. So I'll put that in the notes when I post it. But I'll leave you with 2 other things. One, as a leader, always ask for feedback. Always. Ask things like, is there anything you need from me? Is there anything I can be doing better for you? Make it about them. And anything else I can do. If you're asking those things, chances are 90% of the time, maybe more, I get, nope, we're all good. And do this for all meetings, for all your one-on-one meetings. So this is with your supervisors, your direct reports, your peers, your customer. Anytime you're meeting with somebody one-on-one, end the meeting with these questions. That way, if nothing else, and like I said, 95% of the time you're going to hear, we're good. Nope, thank you. They know you're thinking about them. The last thing I'll leave you with is a quote from Benjamin Franklin. If you teach a poor young man to shave himself and keep the razor in order, you may contribute more to the happiness of his life than in giving him 1,000 guineas. I think this sums up leadership. When you become a leader, when you become a manager, it's more than just a pay raise. It's more than just maybe you're taking on some additional responsibility. If you're taking on a team and an organization, you're taking on a charge to improve them, to make them better. So you need to take the feedback seriously. You could do me a big favor by leaving a comment on how I can do better on this video, or if you have additional thoughts on leaving feedback. Thanks.